Over the next few months, I'm going to be building this car into something that is ready for the tracks. We've got 5 months to get this car ready for racing. Whoever said this would be easy? Oh, not me. Excitement has occurred because the Tomcat pallet has finally arrived, but the main thing is now we can really make some headway with this project. Now this has brought into sharp focus how little time I actually have for this project. I want, by the end of this episode, for this to be on a trailer and go into the powder coating place. Beautiful next time we see that. My God, that was some job. Right, I've just got back from the sandblasters and powder coaters. He said he's going to have it for about a week, so that gives us time to sort the axles and the engine. The engine's going to take a little bit longer than that. Now the axles, on the other hand, will be a little bit easier. Now I've ordered all the stuff, all the new stuff, calipers, discs, sliders, all the stuff that we need to rebuild all the axles. So we need to get these stripped down and sent off to the sandblasters and the powder coaters. Before we do that though, I would quite like to put some kind of diff guard on the front of the front axle so that if we crash into a rock, it's not going to ruin all of our expensive diffs. Now, I'm not going to show you much of rebuilding these axles because we've done that in a previous video. So if you want to see it, go and watch that video. I'm just going to get one of the lads to do all the stuff for the axles so that when the cage comes back, we can just slide them underneath and bolt them all up. With the engine, on the other hand, I'm going to show you a lot more of what we do because it's an opportunity for me to show you what we do to all of our customer engines, and hopefully it'll be a nice, shiny, lovely engine by the time we're done. Right, we're now starting to do the bit of the build that we've all been waiting for, and part of that is to do up this engine. Now I'm going to do to this engine what we do to all of our customer package engines, and I actually asked the guys in the engine build bays if I could just squeeze another engine in their schedule, and their response was "F you." So I think I'm going to do this one by myself. Now I was going to show you the ins and outs on everything that we do to these engines, but because we are very time poor at the minute, I'm just going to give you an overview. Now I've pulled a working sheet off of just a customer's random engine just to sort of run you through a list of everything that we're going to be doing to this engine. So this is the E53 engine, so it's going to get new water pump, new thermostat, new tensioners and pulleys, new sensors, MAF crank and cam, all new seals, rear main, front crank, inlet, rocker cover, oil cooler, sump, vacuum pump and oil cooler, EGR delete, engine breather, new filters, new oils, new belts, new timing chain, valve stem seals, and of course, because we're going for big power with this engine, we need to swap the injectors from the 131 injectors that it has in it at the minute to 219s, which were in the twin turbo 272 engine. They are away being reconditioned as we speak, so hopefully they'll be back in time for when we need to fit them. We also need to put a hybrid turbo on. That's also away being reconditioned, and then I think the engine will be complete. Now, as I've mentioned, we are very time bound with this project, so I'm not going to do a step-by-step, with torque figures and how to rebuild one of these engines, but it does give me an opportunity to show you guys what we do to our customer engines. When I say comprehensive service, this is what we mean. In the next sort of 5 minutes, you'll see what I mean by a comprehensive service, and by the end of it, it'll all be a shiny new engine, and hopefully it'll run really, really nicely and propel us to victory. Right, let's crack on. The first job with the engine was to strip it all down, all the way to the valve stem seals, all the ancillaries off and give it a good clean. It wasn't a particularly dirty engine, but we still need to paint it anyway. After that, we replace all the valve stem seals. Some engines don't need it, but whilst the engine's on the stand, and we're this far into it, there really is no reason not to replace them. But once I'd done them, I had to take a break from the engine jobs because I received a call from the powder coaters. The cage was ready. I think you'll agree it's gone from looking like a piece of scrap metal to looking like a black piece of scrap metal. But it's not just the cage that we've got back, because we've got our axles too. So now we have all the ingredients to put it back on its wheels, which coincidentally is the first job. And there we go then, it's back on its wheels. But while it is back on its wheels, there's no brakes, there's no half shafts, there's no diffs, there's no anything. So that's the job now. I've got a big pallet of brand new items to fit to the car. Now, I have realised that I do need help because the deadline on this project is so close. So we've got one of the guys from the workshop who's agreed to do a late night with me tonight just to get this first bit of the project done. Let's go. Being honest, at this point it really felt like we were back at the start of the project, even though we were more than halfway through by now. But there really wasn't any time for staring at the car, thinking about how much work there was to do. You've seen how much work has already been done, but it was now time to see it through and get it done. From this point onwards, nobody but my partner really saw me at the weekends. There was rarely an evening where I would get home before 11 o'clock at night. So the hard work was really still to come. Right then, axles are built up now, so the next jobs are to do the brake lines, because they're easier to do without the engine in. And I'm going to start fitting some of the interior panels as well, because I've got them back from the powder coaters. By the way, in the next couple of shots, you will find out what colour we're going to do the car. So be excited for that. It had to be orange, didn't it? Everything I have is orange. My sunglasses, my hair, my dog. So it was the only natural choice that the car would be orange too. And as if by editing magic, the other floor, rear section of the cab and the radiator were all fitted. Busy bee, me. Having decided I'd been distracted from the engine for long enough, I returned to it to complete the job. Only, I still didn't have my injectors back, and that meant by the time I came to fit it, I had to fit it without the entire top of the engine fitted. Oh well, we'll make it work. As you guys already know, we are using the 8-speed gearbox, but this time we're using the 8-speed from an E-Series BMW rather than our usual F-Series gearboxes. The difference being is that these gearboxes require an extra flash, effectively flashing the box so that it has the F-Series software on it. We've never done it before, but we've had the box sat on the shelf for a while, so I'm interested to see how it all works. We of course couldn't have done this project without our sponsors. In this case, we're fitting one of House of Torque's intercoolers to keep our intake temps down. Thank you very much to them for sending one of these over. Sterling progress on the Tomcat, many jobs being done, including the wiring there. That's sort of half complete. A lot of the engine jobs, engine oil cooler and all that sort of stuff. But I've had to take a brief break from doing all that because tomorrow Gracie's coming and she's going to go and paint all of our body panels. And as you might know, painting is a very messy business. So I've had to build this, which is our paint room. Obviously there will be a front on it when we actually do spraying. But yeah, it's basically just a plastic room to do all the body panels, and there's all the body panels. There's still like holes to cut for the windows and doors, and where's the grill? The grill's back here somewhere. Yeah, the grill still needs a hole cutting out of it, and this hole in the centre console needs filling up because obviously it used to be a manual, so we need to sort that out. Anyway, I think it's home time now, and tomorrow everything will be orange. Excitement! See you tomorrow. The next day came, and after what felt like 16 years of rubbing down panels, Gracie could start the spraying. Gracie wasn't that impressed with my handiwork with the room. Now, I've known Gracie for years, and I know that she is absolutely at the top of her game when it comes to spraying cars. And I took her out of that world and basically gave her a room with no extraction, that hadn't been cleaned, and that the walls were flapping about all over the place. But anyway, after she'd stopped moaning, she actually turned out a really good job. Good morning. Just realised I've got orange on my nose. Everything's orange in this workshop at the minute. You join me. This is the morning after finishing all the painting and stuff. We actually had quite a gaggle of people around yesterday. A lot of work got done on the Tomcat last night, but we now have a lot of orange panels, if I just show you in here. So this is round 2. We've got all the back wings, the second door, the centre console. You see that bit there where I've had to do my repair. It didn't actually cover very well, so what I've done is I've ordered some aerosols just to run over that a few times. That should cover, that should be fine. The rest of the stuff is all here, and as you can see, the rest of the workshop is an absolute tip. The stuff that got done on the Tomcat last night, there was quite a hoard of things that got done. I've finished putting the shocks on, just finished on the bottom bolts. Just down here, I had to get some special bolts for them because the bolts I had were too long. We do now have an issue which I didn't foresee, that the shocks, I'll show you, actually are touching this bar that I've put in for the spin you round. How do we spin you round? I can't. Brilliant. For these, it actually touches on the back, so I'm gonna have to do something about that. The guys ran all the wiring in yesterday, so I've got like all the headlight wiring, fan wiring, horns wiring, all that sort of stuff. Done a dead good job of it. It's all nice and tidy. I've put this box in for the ECU. The cant ECU's in there as well. That'll all be dead tidy, all very self-contained. What else did we do last night? Oh, I put this on. I put this on for the washer fluid, and I've also got some pumps under here as well. So we'll have one of those that will run a pipe to the windscreen wipers, and another one that will run a pipe to some washer jets that will be on the bonnet. So that'll be alright. What else have we got done? All fuel systems in now. Just need to get the fuel tank finished. Put the throttle pedal in. I just need to sort out this brake thing because obviously this is a long way away from the brake pedal, so we need to move the brake pedal a bit further in. You can see my orange fingernail there. We need to move the brake pedal in so that I'm not, you know, there's not a massive discrepancy between them. What else did we do? Oh, there's so many things that have been done. But the tiredness is setting in now. Yeah, I'm just trying to. I've got basically like 2 weeks now to get it to the finish line, and yeah, it looks like this. Which, you know, it looks fairly complete. You know, once we start putting body panels on it, it will really start coming together. The main thing is the center console, because once the center console's in, everything on the inside will start falling into place. Because once the center console's in, all the dashboard can go in. The scoop can go in for the air. This back panel can go in down here. You know, all sorts of stuff can go on in there. All the wiring can be connected up and everything like that. So that'll be fine. My steering wheel has arrived. For some reason, UPS have delivered it to a shop down the road, so I need to go and pick that up. I'm going to take the paint room down now because that has been an absolute ball ache to have up in the workshop. It was a pretty terrible system. But it has stopped everything in the workshop from turning orange, which is fine. But it's not the ideal spraying room, especially because there's no extraction in there. It was quite horrible spraying in there, actually. Really horrible. But at least we've got it done now. So yeah, I'm going to take this down, and then at least we've got an extra bay in the workshop that isn't taken up by some plastic sheeting. So tonight, the big jobs are getting the centre console in and fitting all the interior, which I'm quite excited for. Right then, we are now entering the final 2 weeks before this needs to be sat on the start line. In fact, it's Monday now, which means it's 2 weeks until we're sat on the start line, basically. And it's starting to get a bit messy, being honest. Just stuff's everywhere. A load of body panels on the floor over there. The ramp is just an absolute mess. Just stuff everywhere. Turbo's here, so I'm going to fit that with today, get some oil in the engine, and then we won't be that far off actually turning it over. We're just waiting for all the wiring to be finished. Obviously we've got engine oil cooler to finish. I've done the gearbox cooler. All the interior needs to be put in. We've got the PMU mounted over there, which I'll tell you about in a little bit more detail later. The one thing I have forgotten is I've put the centre console in, but these extra bits of floor, footwell here, they have to be put in before the centre console. So I'm going to have to figure something out to do that. One thing to tell you about, actually, was on the last video, someone commented and said, I hope you welded some support between the top of your rear shock mount down to your chassis, because that's essential. And I kind of looked at it and went, oh no, that's not the regulations that we're working to. I thought it was only to do with ALRC regulations, which we're not working to. Anyway, I've asked the scrutineer at the club where we're going to be racing, and he said, yes, you do need some support between, so when you mount your shock, like effectively to your roll cage there, you need some support that goes straight down to the chassis. There's no regulation anywhere that says what gauge the metal has to be, how strong it has to be, whether it needs to be welded, bolted, or whatever. So I've come up with a system where I don't need to damage any of the powder coating to do it. And I've done it on this side. I just need to effectively copy it on the other side. Get the rubbish out of the way. And effectively, this is what we're on about. So we go tube all the way up to the top, takes up the shock bolt at the top, just here, and then at the bottom we bolt onto where the original shock absorber on the Defender gets mounted, or well, I suppose it's Discovery 1 at this point. Yeah, we bolt onto there. So that's quite a neat little solution to a problem that we never had in the first place. But at least it's done now. I just need to replicate it on the other side, get them powder coated and whatever else. If I have time, which I know it's very unlikely that I'll have time to do this, but there's also a bar that I was going to run sort of across between these two bits of roll cage, which I never got around to doing before it got sent for powder coating. But now we've got bars either side, we will have bars either side, that are now not powder coated. We could put the support between these two bars. So I've ordered some more of them saddle clamps for roll cage, and if I get time, this is only if I get time, we're going to put another bar across there, across the top of the fuel tank, which is also being sorted at the minute. I've sent that off to be sorted. The issue I had with that, I didn't even know this because I never do petrols, was that so the petrols don't have a return, which I didn't know. So it only had one feed out of the tank, and it also had yellow foam in it for the to stop the fuel all sloshing about. And I didn't know this, but if you put diesel in petrol foam, then it will just melt it, and then obviously cause so many problems. That would be badness. So we've stripped all the yellow foam out, and then I looked at how much of the, is it red or blue foam for diesel? Anyway, you can buy foam to go in the fuel tank to stop your diesel sloshing about, and it was like £100 per square foot. So I was like, nope, we're going without that. So we'll just have to keep the tank topped up. We won't use that much anyway. So the tank's away having a breather fitted and a return inlet fitted, and also the bottom of the tank needs to be welded back up where we've cut a hole in it to get all the foam out. So that's being sorted. The next big job really is to work on the interior, getting all the seats and everything in. You can see my intercom's mounted and all the wires are there ready to all connect it up. Yeah, the interior kind of needs finishing, steering wheel on, all that sort of stuff, seats in, and that shifter mounted. So yeah, really sort of epic amount of things to do. So yeah, let's crack on with that. Next, we turned our hand to window fitting. Heated screen with a rubber seal around it. This turned out to be one of the hardest jobs in the entire build. And being honest, we ended up bonding the screen in without the seal because the seal just would not stay in. So I think finishing the edge of the windscreen will become a job for after the first race. I've already talked about our sponsors, but another group of people I couldn't have done this project without is the helpers, some of whom drove literally hours, multiple times to come and help with the build. Others, I think, just came to get fed. This particular evening, myself and Lee were just pottering, and he was on hand to help with any two-man jobs I was doing, and in the meantime he was completing his section of wiring. But as I was looking through the footage of the evening, I noticed how easily he would get distracted by a bag of crisps. Here we go, concentrating, and then distracted by crisps. This one's more of a drive-by crisp installation. And then I think he cottoned on that I was taking the piss and did this. Right, that's enough fun for one episode. Back to work. The next main job was to get the engine running, which meant fitting the hybrid turbo, the now less wholly fuel tank, and finishing off some of the pipes in the engine bay. mightily good. There was no time to celebrate this success, however, as we had a full interior to fit and the rest of the body panels. My God, right, we are entering the final day that I have to get this Tomcat ready. And there is a mighty list of things to do, as you can imagine. For some reason, the bonnet hits the shock tower here. It didn't do that before, but we need to sort that out somehow. Fit bonnet posts. The interior kind of looks like this at the minute. The wipers obviously aren't connected up yet, and as far as I know aren't sourced in a PMU yet. They need to be properly coded. The horn doesn't work. The starter button is a temporary one, so I need to change that. There's loads of bolts and stuff on the underneath that are loose, so they need all tightening up. The fuel tank leaks, which is brilliant. So I need to do something about that. I need to drain it all out and then, do something about that. But yeah, this is the last day basically that I've got, and then it's going on a trailer, and we're going there. I think we're going to be working over the weekend because the race is on the Monday, and yeah, we've got Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to take a gazebo with me and just do some work there. The thing is, whatever happens, today the 2 a.m. evenings finish for good. Whether it gets to the race or not, the 2 a.m. evenings just stop, and I can actually get some sleep after that. I haven't even had time to go and get a haircut. Look at this mess on my head. This is ridiculous. Right, final day, go! It's worth mentioning, but by this point, I hadn't actually seen the car turn a wheel yet. So the aim was to drive it off the ramp to see if there were any serious and obvious issues that needed sorting before we put it on the trailer. Now, I was slightly worried about the brakes being brand new, that they wouldn't be very good, and to be honest, I was exactly right. But one thing that didn't help us was the fact that the transfer box must have been in low range, and I literally couldn't stop the car with it in low range. So I drove all of 2 metres and I had to use the kill switch to stop me running over some of the lads in the workshop.
You were actually going to go. I thought you were going to be really accurate, but you're going to have me set up on here.
Now, as we don't actually have any levers on the diff lock or high-low selector yet, I sent Ed underneath to hit the selector into higher range so I could actually stop the car. Hopefully the brakes will improve once they've bedded in a bit. Right, just having a minute. So obviously you saw me drive it off the ramp. I've driven it up and down the workshop a few times and just driven it around here. You can't really drive it much around here because it's all public roads, and obviously it's not registered for the road. One issue so far, the gearbox is doing all sorts of weird stuff. I've not really driven it above 20 mile an hour yet. I was in the third, and then it all of a sudden put it in first for some reason, which was a bit of a shock, especially since I didn't have my seatbelt on. Never really had one do this before, but there are quite a few different things that we've done, especially with this shifter setup. I don't know if we've got it set up correctly. The other thing is, this is the E-Series box, which we never really use because it takes an extra bit of flashing to make it work properly. So we've never really used them before, we don't know whether the flash is right, etc, etc, etc. So I'm going to take a spare 8-speed with me anyway, just in case we have to swap the box, in case it is sort of internals in the box that's causing a problem. So we'll put one of those on the trailer, just in case. Other issues we've had, it's not really an issue, but we've had the car running for about an hour now in the workshop, and we haven't actually seen the bottom holes get warm, which I'm not really sure if it's something to worry about or not, because the cooling system, obviously we've never really done this type of cooling system before, because there is an absence of an expansion tank, because the radiator is sort of acting as the expansion tank, being as high as it is at the back, and obviously there's no heater. The heater doesn't really matter because that's just a loop, but all we do have really is a top and bottom holes, and then we've put in an extra holes off the top of the radiator, and it sort of tees into the top holes. Now, I think what's happening is the water is just circulating around the top holes and this bleed pipe, obviously then going back to the radiator, cooling down so quick, and then going back through the top holes. That's what I think's happening, and that's the reason why the bottom holes isn't getting warm. We won't really know whether this is going to be a problem until I start putting the engine under a bit of pain, and then actually properly getting it warm, because even if it was getting a little bit warm now, the thermostat would open, there's cold water on the other side of it, it would cool down immediately and then it would close. So that's probably the reason for that. Failing that, we could probably just crimp the bleed pipe that we've put in, just restrict it, basically completely, because by the time we've done a lap, it'll have bled up, no problem. So yeah, that's an option. There's no other significant issues that I'm worried about at this stage, other than the fact, obviously, that by the time we're sat on the start line on Monday, the fastest I've ever driven it is like 20 mile an hour. There's going to be no opportunity from now or in an hour's time when we put it on the trailer to when we're sat on the start line to actually get it up to sort of decent speed and actually kick its head in and see if the shifter works, for example, and all this. So yeah, that's one issue, but we can't solve that. That's just going to be part of the testing on the day, seeing what the car does, and we can work it out when we're there, basically. So what I'm going to do now, we've still got quite a few bits to do. We've still got quite a few jobs that need to be in the workshop: mud flaps, bleeding the coolant system, bleeding the power steering system. I need to put my nets on the windows. I don't know if I've explained those yet. Basically, I've decided that we're not having the gull-wing doors for the first race because we've kind of run out of time for doing stuff like that. And crucially, I didn't want to rush anything like the latching system or whatever else. So just a temporary fix of these nets. I've actually done one on that side there. So they'll just clip at the front here. I just need to do these at this side. And then that's to regulations. And then for the second race, we'll have quite a bit of time to just go through the car and do any tweaks that we need to do to make that right. So we'll put the gull-wing doors on for the second race, and hopefully they'll be great. But I know I'm not going to have time to finish all of the jobs that need doing, and so I'm just going to do the ones that require the workshop before we set off. And then the race is on the Monday, the bank holiday weekend, so we've actually got Saturday and Sunday whilst we're on the camping field just to finish some stuff off, like changing this starter motor button, bolting the dash on properly, wiring up the wipers, wiring up this box for the co-driver. That's got wash wipe and the horn on it and stuff, just so I don't have to worry about any of that. Making sure that the shifter works properly, because I don't think the shifter's working as it should yet. But as I say, never really used this kind of setup. I'd love this to work really, really well, but I've never used it, so I don't want to say it will, because I don't know. The biggest thing, actually, that I've half forgotten about is that the fuel tank still leaks, despite our efforts of trying to plug the leaks. I've got loads of JB Weld and whatever else, drained the tank, cleaned the area up, and then tried to do it. But the problem that we've got is gravity, basically. As much as you drain the tank, there is still diesel in there. So when when we clean up the area and then put the JB Weld on, there's still diesel leaking out of where it's leaking from. So the stuff just won't stick. It's not doing a very good job. So my job, when we get to the camping field, probably tomorrow, is to take the tank out, obviously drain it, and then flip it upside down, and then Gravity Wheel working with us, and then just plaster the bottom of the fuel tank with whatever I can find, chemical metal, JB Weld, resin, you know, all sorts of stuff, just to try and make it stop leaking, really. I mean, it's diesel, so it's not as bad as petrol leaking, but I'd quite like it not to leak. It wouldn't be ideal. And you're spending money. Diesel's expensive at the minute. There comes a moment in every project like this when the workshop goes quiet. No more grinders screaming through metal, no more late nights chasing hopeless deadlines, no more stepping back to just stare at a dream that still wasn't finished. But somehow, after all the setbacks, all the failures and all the moments I almost gave up, it's finally here. This car was never just a piece of metal to me. There were nights that nobody saw, that you never saw, minutes that turned into hours, hours that turned into days. And through it all, we kept building. Not because it was easy, but because I just couldn't let the vision die. Now, standing here, hearing it breathe for the first time, it turns out that every scar along the way was worth it. This isn't the end of the project. This is just the start. And when this machine finally hits the track on Monday, it won't just carry speed, it will carry every moment that got us here. And the thing I'm most excited about is the fact that in the next episode, we won't be building the fastest Tomcat in the world, probably. We'll be racing the fastest Tomcat in the world, probably. Sorry for getting a bit emotional at the end of that, but yeah, I've done all my jobs. I've just given it a wash actually just before we put on the trailer. So mud flaps are on, up bonnet's done. I think we're ready to go. So I'll see you in the next episode and we'll see how it goes. Look at that thing. Look at it. Just look at it. Right, see you next time.